The greatest sadness in the life of Hulk Hogan, real name Terry Gene Bollea, was not only the controversies or failures in his career, but also the deep sense of loss of his family and the struggle to maintain a heroic image in the eyes of fans in the face of personal scars. Born on August 11, 1953, in Augusta, Georgia, and raised in Tampa, Florida, Hogan was the youngest son of a construction worker and a dance teacher. From a young age, he dreamed of becoming a celebrity, but life was not always easy. As a chubby boy, he was bullied by his classmates because of his weight and large head, making him so self-conscious that he would not take his shirt off at the beach. These childhood traumas left him with a quiet sadness, always yearning for recognition. When he entered the wrestling industry, he became a global icon as Hulk Hogan, but behind the halo was personal pain. His divorce from his first wife, Linda Claridge, in 2009 after 26 years of marriage was a huge blow. Hogan shared in his 2010 autobiography that he considered suicide after Linda left, taking more than 70% of their assets and leaving him feeling empty. He spent many nights crying in his Clearwater, Florida, home, looking at family photos and wondering what he had done wrong. He felt he had failed to keep his family together, especially as his daughter Brooke and son Nick grew distant after events like Nick's 2007 car crash that seriously injured his best friend. Public criticism of the 2012 sex tape scandal and 2015 racist remarks only deepened his sadness. Hogan was fired by WWE and removed from the Hall of Fame, a blow to his self-esteem. He cried when he read articles calling him a racist, feeling that the world had turned its back on him. Although he was rehabilitated in 2018, he could not shake the feeling of betrayal by the industry he had devoted his life to. In his later years, especially after major spinal surgery in May 2025, Hogan faced declining health and the fear of no longer being remembered as a legend. He would often sit alone in his Clearwater beach house, looking out at the Gulf of Mexico, and cry as he thought about the mistakes of his past, from failing to protect his family to the times he was judged by the public. Hogan's greatest sadness was the feeling that, despite everything he had achieved in his career, he could not find peace within himself, haunted by the loss and misunderstanding of those who once loved him. Hulk Hogan's career has been a roller coaster of triumphs and heartbreaks, interspersed with heartbreaking failures and struggles that left him in tears at times of solitude. Beginning in 1977, as a 24-year-old in Tampa, Hogan entered the wrestling world under the tutelage of the legendary Hiro Matsuda. He broke his leg on his first day of training, but returned 6 months later, determined to become a star. In 1979, he joined the World Wrestling Federation, adopting the ring name Hulk Hogan, inspired by the character The Incredible Hulk. His career truly exploded in 1983 when he returned to the WWF under Vince McMahon Jr. With his hulking physique, blonde hair, horseshoe mustache, and charismatic performance, Hogan became the symbol of Hulkamania, which propelled wrestling into a pop culture phenomenon. He won his first WWF championship in 1984 after defeating the Iron Sheik, ushering in a new era for the industry. Hogan headlined 8 of the first 9 WrestleMania events, including a classic in 1987 in front of 93,173 at the Pontiac Silverdome, where he defeated Andre the Giant. He won a total of 6 WWF championships and 6 WCW championships, becoming one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Outside of wrestling, Hogan tried his hand at acting, playing Thunderlips in 1982's Rocky III, and in films like No Holds Barred and Suburban Commando. He also hosted the reality show Hogan Knows Best from 2005 to 2007, thrusting his family into the spotlight. However, His career has not been without its setbacks. His 1994 steroid scandal, in which he testified in Vince McMahon's trial, led some fans to view him as a traitor. He cried as he left the courtroom, feeling caught between his loyalty to WWE and the truth. In 2015, a racist slur scandal led to his firing from WWE, a moment that left him crying in his living room, feeling his entire career was falling apart. Hogan has also faced numerous surgeries for injuries sustained as a wrestler, including more than 20 spine, hip, and knee surgeries over a decade. He said in a 2023 interview that there were nights when he cried from the pain of his surgery, but still managed to appear in public with a smile. Despite this, he continued to work hard to come back, from signing with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling in 2009 to launching the Real American Freestyle Tournament in May 2025, just months before his death. The times Hogan stood in front of the crowd, ripped off his shirt, and raised his arms to the chants of Hulkamania were the result of hours of training and pain. He cried when he was reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018, feeling like he had finally been forgiven. Hogan's career is a testament to perseverance, but it is also the story of a man who fought relentlessly to maintain his heroic image, even at the cost of tears and physical and emotional wounds. The achievements that Hulk Hogan always strived for were not just wrestling titles or fame, but the desire to leave an immortal legacy and become a better man, overcoming his own mistakes. Ever since he was a boy in Tampa, Hogan dreamed of becoming a star, not only to be loved, but also to inspire others. One of his greatest achievements was turning Hulkamania into a cultural phenomenon, transforming wrestling from a regional sport into a global entertainment industry. His victory over the Iron Sheik in 1984 to win the WWF Championship was a life-changing moment for him, and he cried in the ring, feeling the love from thousands of spectators. He wanted to be an American hero with the image of the American flag and the song Real American, conveying a message of resilience and faith. Hogan also yearned to be recognized as a real actor, and his role as Thunderlips in Rocky III was a major milestone, despite facing criticism that he was just a wrestler acting. He spent hours studying scripts, practicing his voice, and crying over negative reviews, but continued to act in films like Mr. Nanny and Santa with Muscles. In his personal life, Hogan wanted to be a good father and husband, though this did not always work out. He cried when his daughter Brooke released her first album in 2004, proud of her for pursuing her musical dreams, but heartbroken to see her criticized by the public. He also worked hard to repair his relationship with his son Nick after his 2007 car accident, regularly calling and writing letters to apologize, though Nick remained distant. Another achievement Hogan pursued was to restore his reputation after the scandals. After the 2015 scandal, he cried when he was reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018, feeling like he had been given a second chance. He also wanted to leave his mark in politics, giving a speech at the 2024 Republican Convention in support of Donald Trump, whom he considered a close friend of more than 35 years. Despite being booed by the crowd during his final WWE appearance in January 2025, Hogan managed to stand up, rip off his shirt, and energize the crowd. In his later years, he invested in Real American Freestyle, an amateur wrestling league, in hopes of inspiring a younger generation. He cried watching young wrestlers train, remembering his early days. Hogan's pursuit of success is a testament to a man who fought relentlessly to prove his worth, even at the cost of long, painful nights and tears when faced with his own mistakes. Hulk Hogan's love and marriage were a tumultuous journey, with moments of intense love mixed with deep pain, heartbreaks, and long nights of crying over his failure to build a lasting home. Born on August 11, 1953, in Augusta, Georgia, Gene Bollea, better known as Hulk Hogan, grew up dreaming of becoming a superhero, but his love life was full of challenges. In 1983, he married Linda Claridge, the first woman he believed he could build a family with. They had 2 children together, Brooke and Nick, and were the focus of public attention through the reality show Hogan Knows Best from 2005 to 2007. Hogan spent the early years of their marriage happily with Linda, who always supported him during his intense matches in the WWF. However, the pressures of his wrestling career and long tours gradually caused their relationship to crack. In 2007, Linda filed for divorce after discovering Hogan had an affair with Christiane Plant, a close friend of Brooke's daughter. Hogan cried when he received the divorce papers, feeling like his whole world had collapsed. He shared in a 2010 interview that he sat in his Clearwater, Florida home, looking at family photos and crying for hours, blaming himself for not appreciating Linda. This divorce not only took away more than 70% of his assets, but also left a wound that never healed. In 2010, Hogan found new solace when he married Jennifer McDaniel, a woman 22 years younger than him. The marriage initially brought hope for a new start, and Hogan often took Jennifer to WWE events, hoping that she would help him forget the old pain. However, the relationship was not without its ups and downs when nude photos of Jennifer were leaked in 2012, coinciding with Hogan's sex tape scandal with Heather Clem, the wife of his close friend Bubba the Love Sponge. Hogan cried when he confronted Jennifer, feeling guilty for dragging her into his mess. The marriage ended in 2021, and Hogan felt like a failure in love once again. He cried as he signed the divorce papers, sitting alone on Clearwater Beach, looking out at the Gulf of Mexico and wondering if he would ever find true happiness. In 2022, Hogan met Sky Daly, a yoga teacher, 25 years his junior, at a Bret Michaels concert. They quickly fell in love, and Hogan felt like he was reborn with Sky. He proposed to her in July 2023 at a mutual friend's wedding, and they were married in September 2023 at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Clearwater. Hogan cried at the wedding, touched that Sky accepted him despite their scandalous past. However, even in this marriage, Hogan still carried the sadness from his previous breakups. He often stayed up late, rereading old letters from Linda and Jennifer, and cried when he thought about his mistakes. Sky, with her big heart, often hugged him in those weak moments, but Hogan still feared that he was not worthy of her love. Hogan's love was a series of hopes and failures, where he constantly sought forgiveness and a place to belong. But the sadness from the past still haunted him, causing him to cry on lonely nights. Hulk Hogan's children, Brooke and Nick, were his greatest pride, and also the source of deep pain in his life, as he watched them grow up in the spotlight and face their own struggles, often leaving him crying from a sense of helplessness as a father. Brooke, born May 5, 1988, was his first child, whom Hogan treated like a princess. He cried when he saw Brooke perform in high school, proud that she had inherited her passion for the arts from her mother, Linda. When Brooke released her first album, Everything to Me, in 2004 and joined Hogan Knows Best, Hogan hoped she would become a star, but he was also worried about her being criticized by the public for her lack of experience. He cried when he read the hateful comments on social media, feeling he could not protect his daughter from the pressures of fame. Their relationship became strained after Hogan and Linda's divorce in 2009, especially when Brooke publicly criticized her father for his infidelity. Hogan cried when he received a text message from Brooke saying she needed time to forgive him. Although they tried to reconcile, Brooke decided not to attend Hogan's wedding to Sky Daly in 2023, a decision that left him crying in his room, feeling like he had lost a part of his daughter. Nick, born on July 27, 1990, was Hogan's hope for a successor in wrestling or sports. However, a car accident in 2007, in which Nick lost control of his car and seriously injured his close friend, John Graziano, changed everything. Hogan cried when he arrived at the hospital, found John in a coma and Nick in custody. He felt guilty for not teaching his son more responsibility. In a 2010 interview, Nick shared that he still carries pain every day from the accident, and Hogan cried when he heard those words, realizing that his son was suffering as well. Although Nick attended Hogan's wedding to Sky, their relationship was not completely healed, as Nick often kept his distance to focus on his own life. Hogan tried his best to stay close to both of his children, calling them often and sending gifts, but he still cried when he thought about the years they spent together on Hogan Knows Best. When Brooke gave birth to twins, Oliver and Molly, in early 2025, becoming a mother and grandfather for the first time, Hogan cried with joy, but also with sadness, that Brooke was still keeping her distance from him. He often sat in his Clearwater home, watching old family videos, and cried when he thought about the days when they were together. Hogan always wanted to be the perfect father, but the rift with Brooke and Nick, along with the pressure from the public, made him cry many times, feeling that he had failed in his responsibilities as a father. Sky Daly, Hulk Hogan's third wife, has shared poignant words about the sadness he experienced, especially in his later years when he faced declining health, family disputes, and the fear of being forgotten by his fans. Sky, a yoga teacher born in 1978, met Hogan in 2022 and married him in September 2023 at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Clearwater, Florida. In an Instagram post on July 25, 2025, the day after Hogan's death, Sky wrote that her heart was broken by the loss of her husband, whom she called My Terry. She said that Hogan had faced health problems, especially after major spinal surgery in May 2025, but she always believed that he would overcome them. Sky shared that Hogan often cried during painful nights, not only because of the physical pain, but also because of the sadness of his broken family. She saw him cry while rereading the 2015 scandal, where he was criticized for his racist remarks, and felt like the world had turned its back on him. Sky said Hogan cried when talking about Brooke and Nick, especially when Brooke didn't attend their wedding, which made him feel like a failure as a father. In another post from early 2025, Sky mentioned that Hogan cried when they were baptized together in church in December 2023, calling it the most meaningful day of his life because he felt forgiven for his past mistakes. Sky also shared that Hogan would often stay up late, sit on the beach and cry, thinking about Linda, his first wife, and the mistakes that broke their family apart. She held him during those moments, trying to comfort him, but knew that he was deeply saddened by the feeling that his children didn't understand. Sky stressed that despite his legendary status with fans, Hogan felt lonely in his later years, especially when his health declined and he was booed at his final WWE event in January 2025. She said he cried after the event, feeling hurt that those who once loved him had turned their backs on him. Sky, however, always appreciated Hogan's love for the fans, as he continued to sign autographs and take pictures despite his health. Sky's words are a testament to a man who fought relentlessly to overcome his grief, but was still haunted by his losses and public judgment. The conclusion of Hulk Hogan's life is a story of a man who achieved greatness, but also paid the price with emotional and physical scars that never healed. Born in Augusta, Georgia, in 1953, Terry Gene Bollea transformed himself into Hulk Hogan, a cultural icon whose Hulkamania propelled wrestling into a global phenomenon. He won 6 WWF championships, 6 WCW championships, and starred in films like Rocky III. But behind the spotlight was a deep pain. His divorce from Linda in 2009, scandals in 2012 and 2015, and broken relationships with Brooke and Nick left him crying in solitude, feeling he had failed as a husband and father. His efforts to regain his reputation, from being reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018 to launching Real American Freestyle in 2025, are testaments to his resilience, but they can't erase the sadness of his broken family and failing health. Hogan died on July 24, 2025, at his home in Clearwater, Florida, of a heart attack at the age of 71. His death came just a month after major spinal surgery, and Sky Daly, his third wife, had attempted to allay fans' concerns about his health just days before. Hogan's funeral took place on July 30, 2025, at Indian Rocks Baptist Church, where he and Sky had been baptized. The ceremony was a small affair, attended by Sky, Nick, and a few close friends such as Jimmy Hart and Ric Flair. Brooke did not attend, a decision that many fans regretted, but she posted on Instagram saying that she wished her father rest in peace. WWE held a memorial service on SmackDown on July 25th, with a 10-bell toll and tributes from wrestlers such as The Rock and John Cena. Hogan is remembered as a legend, but his legacy is also mired in controversy due to his missteps and family rifts. Still, the image of him ripping off his shirt, raising his arms in front of the crowd, and singing "Real American" will forever be an icon of an era. Hulk Hogan was a man who lived hard, loved hard, and fought hard, but he was also a man with silent pain, tears in the dark, and a heart that yearned for love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness.